The Oreo cookie is one of the most popular cookies in America and around the world. 2 little chocolate cookies with that delicious filling in the middle of it, and so many different ways to eat them. You can twist them off, you can dunk them. Let me know how you eat yours down in the comments. So it sounds pretty good, right? I mean, what's not to love about Oreos? Oh, the carbs. So when Oreo came back out with these, they looked delicious, and I knew I'd be able to pull it off with my chocolate chaffle recipe, making both the cookies and a big ass Oreo. If you want me to try to get the Oreo cookie down, as soon as I get done with my keto flour I've been working on, I think I'll be able to pull it off. Let me know down below in the comments if you want me to give that a try. So today on Southern Keto, I'm gonna show you how to make a keto Oreo, low carb Oreo, diabetic friendly Oreo, gluten-free Oreo. No matter what you wanna call it delicious. Stick around. The other thing about Oreos, if you look at the package, there's 86 different ingredients, most of which you're not gonna know how to pronounce, or you won't know what they are. I'm gonna make these using simple ingredients you can find anywhere. There's nothing hydrogenated, hydrolyzed, dimetized, supersized, or whatever I's you got. None of that in here. There's no seed oils, and most important of all, there's no sugar. So let's start making these Oreos, shall we? The first thing I'm gonna do is just take my Ninja IQ blender cup, and we're just gonna put the ingredients in here. I'm gonna make them 2 different ways. I'm gonna make a huge Oreo, and I'm gonna make the regular sized Oreos, but this batter is gonna work for both. So I've got my little egg separation tool / chopper / whatever. It does like 15 different things I can't even keep up. But I'm gonna take 1 whole egg, put it right in my blender cup, and then this one we're just gonna use the egg white. The thing I like about this, if you wanna save that yolk for something else, it sits right there on the top, so you can use it for something else if you want to, or you can toss it if you don't have another use for it. And what I like to do is cook it up and feed it to the dog, so maybe I'll do that in a little bit. So I got my 1 whole egg in there. Here's my egg whites. Pour those in there as well. And then I got 2 ounces of cream cheese. Now this has been sitting at room temperature, so it's nice and soft. I'm gonna put that in with the egg and the egg white. I'm gonna bring over my big cutting board, just put that right there. The next ingredient, we're gonna need some mozzarella cheese. So I'm using this low moisture part skim. You don't wanna use the fresh mozzarella. Make sure you get this so that these turn out absolutely perfect. Now I never buy the pre-shredded kind, because when I do a recipe, I don't want any kind of anti-caking agents in there. I want it to behave the way it's supposed to and not have any extra ingredients to fool with. We're gonna need a 1/2 cup of this. So I'm just gonna shred a little bit and see how much I got. I just use this box grater. It's the easiest thing to do, and it doesn't matter. We're gonna blend this up. So you can just use the biggest setting if you want. That looks about right, let's see. And you can double this recipe if you wanna make more of these, and chances are good that you will. We're gonna make that filling separately. And what you want to do on these is once you make them, only fill the ones you're going to eat immediately and save the rest of the filling and ice them fresh, just so they don't get soggy or anything. So that looks pretty good right there. That was a good guesstimation. So I'm just going to put that right in there, get rid of a little bit of this mess, and I'll be right back. So now that we've got that in there, I'm just going to put this in the blender, and I'll put a link down below to all the kitchen tools and gadgets and all the things that I love so you can check them out. But all I'm gonna do is just blend this until it's smooth. There's a bunch of different settings on here. For this one, I'm just gonna use pulse and just pulse it up until it gets nice and smooth in there. And just make sure that cream cheese is room temperature. That's really gonna help this come together. And you definitely don't wanna skip this step of blending, because it's gonna make these come out perfectly smooth and delicious and exactly the texture that you want. Now that we've got that done, I'm just gonna set that aside. We're gonna add in our other ingredients. The first thing I'm gonna add in is coconut flour. I'm gonna add 2 tablespoons of coconut flour in here. And if you watch my Snoop Dogg chicken and waffle video, you'll know that this is about the same recipe, the addition of adding in some cocoa powder. So 2 tablespoons coconut flour go in. Next thing I'm gonna put in is the Magic Baker's Blend, because we gotta have some sweetness. I'm gonna put in a 1/4 cup of that. And this can be the granulated kind, that's just fine. Then I'm gonna go in with half a teaspoon of baking powder. Now this is a teaspoon, so I'm just using half of it. And last but certainly not least, I'm gonna add in my cocoa powder. Now black cocoa, I have heard, is gonna be the best for this to give it the true Oreo taste. I feel like this gives it a great Oreo flavor, but I'm going in with 2 tablespoons of this. I've been working my way through this so I can order some of that dark cocoa powder, and I'll put a link to that down below. You may want to go for it. I've heard it's absolutely amazing. I like this one too. I feel like this gives it a great Oreo taste. This is the special dark 100% cacao from Hershey's, but I've really heard great things about that dark cocoa powder, so I'll put a link down there for you. Now we got all the ingredients in there. Put the lid back on this and give it another blend. This time I'll put it on smoothie and let it do its own thing. It's gonna jump right off the counter. It's got a mind of its own. So that looks pretty good there. You want it to be nice and blended together like that before we start making these cookies and jumbo cookies. Now before I forget, I'm gonna go preheat my oven to 350 degrees because the cookie part we're gonna bake in there. For that, I'm gonna use this silicone tray, and I'll link to that down below too, but this is what I use for egg bites, but it's the perfect size for the Oreo. So we're gonna use that. I'm gonna put that down. I'm not sure how many this is gonna make. I doubled it before. We've already had a bunch of these. I just wanted to make them for the video. I'm gonna go ahead and spray with some olive oil spray, 6 of these. Not sure if it's gonna take 6 or not. This stuff's rough, boy. Anyway, now that the smoke has settled, I'm just gonna kind of take my finger and rub right along the edge here. You can grease these with butter. You can use lard. You can use whatever kind of cooking spray you like. Just make sure you get it up on the sides just a little bit. And I would make more than this. I'd probably double this recipe, except for the fact that we've had so many of these already. Now I gotta move on. But I want to show you how to make them, so we're gonna do just that. I'm also gonna take my mini waffle maker and plug it in as well. So with this mini waffle maker, it's got an on-off button right here. When this button turns off, it's ready. So before that, I'm just gonna go ahead and spray it a little bit, just to make sure nothing sticks. It's a non-stick surface, but hey, you never know. But while that's happening, I'm just gonna take a little bit of this, spoon it right into the bottom. Oh, I don't want to do that one. I didn't spray that one. What's wrong with you? And I'm going to show you in just a second exactly how much of this I put in there, if you can't see. But I just want to feel the bottom of it. Get a spatula and get that out. Man, what am I doing? Just excited to show you all these Oreos and put it in the wrong thing. Let me taste that. Oh man, yeah, that's the good stuff. Just clean that out so I don't have any burn bits in there or anything when I pull it out of the oven. So you want to just fill these until it's just enough to cover the bottom. We're making like that Oreo cookie out of this, you know? So you want to fill up the bottom right till it starts coming up the side just a little bit. And just kind of tamp it down like that. Let me show you what this looks like. We're not building rocket ships to go to Mars or anything like that. It's just cookies, so it ain't that serious. Just try to get them as even in there as you possibly can. See how they just kind of fill the bottom like that? They're not even, maybe halfway up, but not quite. I'd say more like a third of the way up. And that one's a little more full, so we'll see how they all come out once they're done. But that's what it looks like right there. And now, the waffle iron, you can see that little indicator light's off. That means it's hot. So let's go ahead and fill that little piece up. And so with this, oh yeah, she's smoking hot. If you watch my Snoop Dogg video, you'll know about how much to put in. But about a good spoonful like this, you don't want it to run over the edges or anything. So about that much, and then just push this down, or close it. You don't need to push anything. Close that down, let it cook. And if you open this too early, you're gonna see a big old mess in there. So all you gotta do is put it back down, let it finish cooking. It's gonna release itself real easy when it's ready. And I'm gonna go ahead and get one of these cooling racks put over to the side, because when they're done, you want them to sit on there so they harden up a little bit. So let's take a look at this. Oh yeah, see that looks good, but we can go a little bit longer. You wanna make sure it stays in long enough just so it gets crispy. And if you see that steam escaping and it slows down a little bit, that's when you know they're ready. Now I'm just gonna have a little fork right here on the side just to pull it away a little bit. And you can tell when you start pulling it, if it comes apart a little, it's not quite ready, so just go back down with it. I'm gonna go ahead and take these in the meantime, put them in the oven on 350 degrees, and they're gonna stay in there for 5 minutes. That ready light just went off, so let's check it out. Oh yeah, we're good now. Just take this off, put it on the cooling rack, and we'll go in with another one. All right, so here we go in the oven. 5 minutes, and we'll check them after that. Now, if you're liking these Oreos and you want more keto sweet treats just like this, make sure you subscribe, click the bell next to it. Anytime I do a new cookie, dessert, or anything else, you'll know about it. So now while that's going on, I'll go ahead and make one more of these chaffles, also known as Oreo cookie. So I'll just spray this one more time here. Let it get a little bit hot. And then let me go in with some more of this Oreo batter. And just close it up. We'll wait for it to get done. So I think we're done in the oven and we're done right here. So I'll go ahead and get this one out first. Oh man, that one is perfect right there. So I checked those after 5 minutes. They're gonna need 5 more minutes. So I put them back in for another 5, rotated the pan around, and we'll see what happens when they're done. Now that is perfect. Just leave them sitting out right there to crisp up, and I'll be right back. So we're all done in the oven here. Let me pull these out and see how they look. Oh yeah, check out those beauties. I think that's gonna work just fine. So I'm gonna let these cool for a few minutes right in here, then I'll transfer them over to the cooling rack once they cool for a few minutes, and I'll get everything together so we can make that Oreo filling. So I've got my KitchenAid mixer here, and I'm gonna put the paddle attachment on it this time instead of the whisk. Just seems to work a whole lot better when you're making creams and fillings. Then I'm gonna add in half a stick of butter, and this is softened to room temperature. So just throw that right in. And then I'm gonna go in with 1.5 teaspoons of only the best beaver-free vanilla extract. Now I know that sounds like a lot, but this Oreo filling has this beautiful vanilla taste, so you need a lot of vanilla in there. I'm just gonna go ahead and put this down. We'll start blending it up and see what it looks like. You just want to get that butter and that vanilla well incorporated, get it even softer, and we'll scrape the sides down, then start adding some sweetener in there. So since I'm using such a small amount here, I'm going to go ahead and mix in my sweetener also. And I'm using this powdered sweetener, but I didn't have enough of this. So you can just take your granulated if you got it and throw it in the blender, and then you got powdered sweetener. You don't want to use the granules. But you're going to go in with 1.25 cups of this. And once I get that in there, we'll come back and I'll show you what it looks like. I'm just gonna mix this in together a little bit. I've got that kind of incorporated in there so that it's not gonna fly all over the place, hopefully. We'll see. Oh yeah, oh, that's looking good. No dust cloud in here today. And then just start working it up. Make sure you use that paddle attachment on there. Then once you get about halfway through there, just scrape the sides down again. We'll go in again until this makes a nice filling, just like in the Oreos. Oh, that's looking pretty good. So I'll just get all this off of this beater as much as I can. I'm gonna take this off. We're just gonna kind of work this in together now. So it's all incorporated. We just want to make that filling that resembles that Oreo filling in the middle of the cookies. And that is looking pretty good right there. And once these have cooled for just a few minutes, just pop these out right onto the cooling rack with the chaffle. And I'm gonna put the rounded side down to help press it down just a little bit more. When it cools, that would have been more Oreo-ish. I want it to be a little more flat. So this one's about the right size. So that's the one I just barely filled up at the bottom. The rest of them are a little bigger, but that's okay because I love some Oreos. All right, now that these are completely cool, we're just gonna ice them. We're just gonna ice these up. So we've got our filling right here, this Oreo filling. I'm gonna go with one of these smaller ones first. Just take some of this filling, put it right on top of this. Yeah, a little more. We'll make these like a double stuffed Oreo. Just try to get it nice and even so when we put the top on it, it'll push it down all the way around and make a beautiful Oreo. And then just take this other side, push it right in there like that. And once you get it flat, if you want to add a little bit more filling to it, you can. And just clean it up. I'm just gonna do it with my finger because this one's going right to me. And then if you want your entire sleeve of Oreos in one, just do you a nice chaffle like this. Spread that filling right on there. Remember, this is sweet, but if you like it sweet like I do, it's not gonna bother you a bit. And put that right on the top. And you've got a sleeve of Oreos in one. So if you've been missing Oreos, you don't have to miss Oreos anymore. These things are absolutely delicious. You're gonna love them. If you want more recipes just like this, click this playlist. There's a lot of things in there that you're gonna love.